Hey guys, it's Fonzie here with DipYourCar.com. On today's video, we're going to show you the difference between taking full-strength regular PlastiDip and thinning that down versus spraying pre-thinned RubberDip S. We'll take you through, we'll show you some tips and tricks. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay guys, the first thing I'm going to show you is what some people will do when they take full-strength, thick PlastiDip and actually thin it down to spray it on their car. Obviously, you know, regular full-strength PlastiDip comes very thick. It's basically used to dip the handles of tools in to create a rubber grip on them. So it's way too thick to spray through a gun, and what they'll do is they'll take the full strength PlastiDip and thin it down. About a 50-50 ratio works just fine with thinner. Now we have an empty gallon can right here, and we've got one of the 22-ounce full strength black PlastiDips here that we keep around the shop. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's shaken up really well. And the first thing we're going to do is just dump it into that gallon can. Make sure you shake it all out. And then you're going to take, you want the thinner in there at a 50% ratio, 50-50. So we're just going to fill this up again. So we get another 22 ounces of thinner. And that'll go in there as well. Now you could shake it or mix it. I prefer just to shake it up. Just make sure that the lid goes on there real well. And then just give it a shake. Now, obviously you want this to be a good smooth consistency to shoot through the gun, and what we'll do is we'll shake it up, we'll make sure it's mixed well, and we'll pour it into the hopper and we'll start spraying it. Okay, now what we've done is prepared two different hoppers here. The first one is full strength PlastiDip, thinned down 50% with thinner in black, and then we have the exact same thing over here, thinned down 50% with thinner in white. And what we're going to do is shoot the two different colors to give you a better idea of how it works on two different surfaces, and then we'll put side by side with RubberDip S and see if there's any differences. Alright guys, now what we have here is a gloss black panel to mimic the side of the body of a car. And we've sectioned it off. The first section here, we're going to work with the 50-50 full strength white PlastiDip. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it all one full coat, just like it was the side of a car. Okay guys, we're going to let that first coat dry of the 50-50 blend, and we're going to put our first coat here on this panel of the RubberDip S in white. Okay guys, you can see after the one coat that there's going to be a pretty dramatic difference as we go through this exercise. The 50-50 blend, or that thinned down full strength PlastiDip that we use the thinner for, has got some coverage problems. You can see kind of right through that white and see the black behind. The one coat over here of the RubberDip S is actually covering really well, especially for S. You're going to see this trend kind of continue as we go through this exercise, and I'll explain to you pretty much why that is. When you take, for example, a 22-ounce full-strength PlastiDip container and you thin it down 50-50, you're basically doubling the volume. But what you're adding to double the volume, thinner, is a clear liquid. There's only enough tint. PlastiDip only put enough tint in that 22-ounce container for 22 ounces of PlastiDip. When you double the volume and start throwing clear liquid in there, there's only half as much tint as you really need to be effective. The RubberDip S that you get at Dip Your Car, that's thinned down and produced at PlastiDip for us. And it's got enough tint in it for that 1 gallon, for that 128 ounces, because it's not being thinned down further or turned into anything else. That gallon is staying at 1 gallon, and they put enough tint in there for that 1 gallon. So that difference in tint, as you can see, is going to make a pretty dramatic difference as we go. Alright, this is going to be the second coat of the 50-50 full strength. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put the second coat of the RubberDip S over on this panel. All right, now this is 2 full coats. This side is obviously the full strength PlastiDip thin down. That's the RubberDip S. The tint is making a huge difference. I don't really have to explain too much to you about it. This is white. White is obviously one of those colors that is pretty difficult to get full coverage on as it is. We're going to move on to the black now, but this is the white, 2 coats. Okay, what we're going to do is move towards testing the black now. And what we're really testing here is the coverage that the product gets. So a really good way to test the coverage is to take something really busy like this. Something with a white background, some black text on it, and a big red bar across here. We'll do 1 coat of the full strength PlastiDip thin down. We'll do a 1 coat over here of the RubberDip S, and we'll see if anything shows through more on one than the other, and do more coats as we go. We'll do the test right now. Alright guys, we got the second panel lined up. We're going to do 1 coat, 4 passes exactly the same way with the RubberDip S. Alright guys, after 1 coat, we've let it dry. I don't really have to say much. You can see the difference. The difference in the tint is really making a big impact. You can see the stop, you can see all the wording through on this panel. On this one with 1 coat of the RubberDip S, you almost really can't see anything. There's a little speckling on the bottom where I shot it light. Let's see if the second coat, this one can catch up a little bit. Alright, we're going to drop our second coat of RubberDip S on this panel here. Okay guys, after 2 coats, the results are pretty clear as well. On the full strength thinned down version of PlastiDip, you can still see some of the words through it. You can still see that red box around it. On the RubberDip S side, it's completely blacked out. The difference is very clear. That tint makes a huge difference. Now what we're going to do is move on to another color. Alright, we're going to do one more test here, and what we want to do is we're going to do red, where we took full strength, regular thick PlastiDip red, thinned it down 50%. We got it loaded in the gun here, and what I want to do is cover this larger area, just like the side of a car. We're going to go and do our passes across it. It's got a pattern under here, so this is going to be a really good example of whether or not we're getting really good coverage or bad coverage with either the full strength thin down or the RubberDip S, and if there's a difference. Also, one of the big things that this can help you with as far as the RubberDip S and the extra tint is avoiding streaking. The extra tint, and you're going to be able to see that, will really help you come second or third coat avoid any of those streaking or zebra stripes that you might have. Alright, we're going to drop our first coat of the RubberDip S in red over on this panel. Alright guys, we'll do coat 2 of the full strength thin. Alright, this is going to be coat 2 of the RubberDip S. Okay guys, this is now 2 coats. This is that full strength PlastiDip that we thinned down ourselves. This is the RubberDip S. Now you can still see the logo through just a little bit on this side. I think a 3rd coat on that would get full coverage with no problems. This one, I'm not really sure. We're obviously going to need 3 or 4 more coats, and hopefully we'll get coverage there. This is a really good demonstration on now how the white, then the black, and now red, for example, how the tinting difference in the RubberDip S versus thinning it down yourself can make an impact.